It's time for math with Norris the Narwhal. It's Norris, Norris, Norris the Narwhal.
Today's lesson, theorems about angles and perpendicular lines.
Some terms to know that you need for this lesson, the first being supplementary angles, which are two angles that are to 180 degrees. So, if this angle was 60 degrees, then this angle would be 120 degrees. 60 plus 120 equals 180.
Yay.
The second term you need to know is complementary angles. And that are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So if this one's 45, and this one's 45, they add up to 90, so they are complements.
Alright, the last term to know is adjacent angles, and those are any two angles that are next to each other. So like these two are next to each other, these two are next to each other, those angles are adjacent. This is our first theorem, and it's theorem 2-3. It states vertical angles are congruent. So that means this angle and this angle are the same, and this angle and this one are the same. An example of this is if this one was this angle is 50 degrees, that means this angle is also 50 degrees. And if this angle is 130 degrees, then this angle is also 130 degrees.
Second theorem, if two lines are perpendicular, like so, they form congruent adjacent angles, meaning that these two angles are both equal to 90.
Theorem 2-5. If two lines form congruent adjacent angles, then the lines are perpendicular. So as we can see here, we have line 1 and line 2. And remember that Theorem 2-5. If two lines form congruent adjacent angles, then the lines are perpendicular. Which means that as we can see here, we have line 1, line 2. These are forming congruent angles here, and because they're coming in just like the way they are, they're also going to form two right angles, meaning they're perpendicular.
Here we have theorem 2-6, which states if the exterior sides of two adjacent angles are perpendicular, then the angles are complementary. So right here we have angle ABC, with the exterior side being line AB, right there, and then angle CBD, with line BD being the other exterior side. So as you can see, these two lines are perpendicular to each other. So this angle could be something like 30 degrees, so this angle would have to be 60 degrees, because the two would have to add up to 90. Alright, here we have theorem 2-7, which states if two angles are supplements of congruent angles, or of the same angle, then the angles are congruent. So here we have both situations. So these two angles, both 30 degrees, are congruent. So if we look along this line right here, this angle is 30 degrees, so this one has to be 150 degrees, because those two are supplementary angles. And then right here, this one's 30 degrees on this line on the other side, so this one has to be 150 degrees. So these two, which are supplements of congruent angles, are both the same angle. Alright, the other situation is we have this angle right here, which is 70 degrees. So along this line, it's a supplement to this angle, which means this angle is 110 degrees. And then along this line right here, it's a supplement to this angle, which means this one's also 110 degrees. So these two angles are congruent. Alright, here we have theorem 2-8, which states if two angles are complements of congruent angles, or of the same angle, then the two angles are congruent. So we have two situations. So it's a little busy, but these two angles right here and right here are vertical, so they're the same, they're both 55 degrees. And we can see this angle right here, bam, bam, that's a 90-degree angle. So this angle has to be 35 degrees. This 90 degrees, these two are complements. And right here, 55 degrees, this is the other complement, so this is 35 degrees. So these two are congruent, because they're both Alright, here we have the second situation, where we just have one angle, the 60-degree angle, and we have two perpendicular angles right here and right here. So for this big angle, this one has to be 30 degrees, and for this big angle, this one also has to be 30 degrees, because those are both complementary to the 60-degree angle. So the two other angles, right there and right there, are congruent. And for a quick break, here's some pigeons. We should play that song, Kevin, that Thomas played.
That's all I remember.
What is it?
The Ben 10 theme song.
Alright, what we have here is a little sample problem that uses several of the theorems that we've gone over so far. So in the problem, we've been given three angles. We have the 30-degree angle, the 100-degree angle, and this 90-degree angle created by these two perpendicular lines. So I'm going to go through and we're going to figure out what all the other angles are in this picture. So the first we can figure out is angle number 1, and we know this angle is 30 degrees because they are vertical angles, therefore they're equal. Now we can find angle 2 because it's a supplementary angle with the 30-degree, with both of these 30-degree angles. So this one's 150 degrees, and that means also angle 3 is 150 degrees because they are vertical angles. So now we move to the second portion, which is down here, and it's very similar to the previous portion. So angle 4 is vertical angles with the 100-degree angle. This is 100 degrees. And now angle 5 and angle 6 are both perpendicular, or both supplementary angles to the 100-degree angles. So these are both going to be 80 degrees. And remember that theorem, it's theorem 2-7, which states that supplementary angles are 80 degrees, that congruent angles are supplements to congruent angles. Alright, so now to find 7 and 8, first we have a triangle right here. So the triangle is going to add up to 180 degrees, so we can determine that this angle 7 is 50 degrees. And then, since we know this is a right angle, and these are perpendicular lines, we know this is also going to be a right angle, which means this is equal to 90 degrees, so this angle 8 is 40 degrees.
Okay, so now we're going to be proving that line AB is perpendicular to line CB. So to start off, we're going to go up here and say that this angle here is 40 degrees, because vertical angles are congruent.
To a giant laserfish. And he was talking about, there's a whole set where Jonathan's parents always were just like playing with him, and he never
And then, now we're going to go down to here. We can say that this is 50 degrees, because supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. And now we know that triangles, the sum of all the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees.
Speak up.
So we can say that 40 plus 50 is 90, and 180 minus 90 is going to be 90. So this is going to be 90 degrees. And then because this is a 90-degree angle, these two lines have to be perpendicular because perpendicular lines form 90-degree angles.
Thanks for watching Math with Norris the Narwhal. It's Norris, Norris, Norris the Narwhal.